Like, I am very much, and this is gonna maybe get me in some trouble, I am very much a firm believer in games made for guys and games made for girls. Okay? We have this defined in manga, this is defined in movies, it's defined in clothes, it's defined everywhere. But the Monkey King game is a game made for men. There aren't even any women in this story. There's like, you don't even, like, I was thinking about this. Like, were there any girls? Like, no. Did I even notice that? Absolutely fucking not. No, I had no idea. There are, yeah, later on. Like, I mean, not like, yeah, way later on. But like, that's, yeah, there's spiders. Yeah, there's snakes. No, in general, right? Nobody gives a shit. Like, and like, these are games that are made for guys. And guy games are like, so you want to think about guy games. What are guy games?
I don't really agree overall, and I agree overall with Asmongold. So what the heck does this mean? Well, I agree that, of course, some people like myself are going to be exception to the rule, and basically girls that actually will like to play Space Marine 2, Wukong, and so on, games that are made for guys. I just don't think that that is exactly the case. I mean, game development, it's all about making a good product, and at the end of the day, yeah, guys are mostly the audience for this. But that is just because, of course, guys like cool, badass things, and girls may like them, but not necessarily want to also play such things in general, and just games in general.
Guy games, Space Marine 2, Black Myth Wukong, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Age of Empires, the old God of War games, Armored Core 6, Doom. And so you see all these games, right? And this is a different vibe of games that are for girls, right? They're made more for a female audience. They have a totally different vibe, totally different aesthetic, and it's a totally different environment. And it's not like all the female games are like the stupid phone games. Like, oh yeah, you want to think what are the girl games? Candy Crush, Animal Crossing, and, you know, like, I don't know, some other bullshit phone, The Sims.
Candy Crush. I never even seen much of that in my life, let alone want to play it. And there's that. I'm just so foreign to anything that is girly, you know, in terms of gaming. And other things, actually. And other things is just that I do like badass things. I have grown up with Jean-Claude Van Damme movies. Some of you know this that have watched my channel for years.
Yeah, no, it's actually not that simple, right? Because, like, there's a lot of girls that play Valorant and, like, League of Legends, too. But, like, at the end of the day, Black Myth Wukong is definitely... It's a guy game. It's a game made for guys. Yeah. That's... Absolutely. Like, it's not... It's a testosterone game. Yes. Like, yeah, guy games are... That's it. For Chinese guys, yeah. And some of us over here in the US. Yeah, it's not weird. This isn't a weird thing. I feel like the world has gone so crazy that this idea has just completely escaped people's reality. So yeah, of course this is it. I agree having a dynamic at different games causes different audiences. Yeah, and you're always going to have overlap. There's going to be girls that love Space Marine 2 and guys that love The Sims. But I'm talking about averages. And I think this is true with a lot of averages.
You know that I like Xena Warrior Princess more than anything else in the world, but that is because she's freaking badass, and she has an amazing story that is just very, very compelling in every single way. So if she was a man, I would like her all the same. But it's just that she is like one of the very, very few female characters that are super well written, super well fleshed out, and all those things. When a guy say that all the games are mostly made for men, it's just a bit ridiculous. Because if you are just a person, you know, you don't have to be identifying with any gender or be any gender or whatever nonsense we are used to nowadays to hear. If you just, you know, want to experience a good, compelling stories, you will not care if these stories are with a man or a woman or whatever. You would just care if the story is good. That is it. If it's quality, if it has something meaningful to say, if it's fun, if it just has some qualities that we actually appreciate, we can understand and we can appreciate. So for me, all of the things that maybe Asmongold will consider manly, they're very manly, absolutely, but they're also very neutral because we can all understand some part of being a soldier in war, at least some part of that. We can all maybe want to be warriors and fight for something, even if we're not literally all men, but we still want to fight. We still want to stand for something that we believe in, so to speak. So if you think in that line of thought, there could be many women that would want to actually enter such worlds and play within them. My mind, because I just gotta explain to you, if you're guys especially, how is a girl's mind work. My mind in general has never been like, oh, men, guy things, oh boy, that was never the case, absolutely never the case. Because I just like what I like. I'm just attracted to certain things, like the manly things and the shooting things, and just the fighting and swords and shields and guns and all those things that can be thought to be male, of course, but for me they're neutral. Oh, that's just how I feel them. They're just neutral. They're just things of life, things that human beings came up with so we can fight for better or for worse. Of course, those things are mostly, if not absolutely exclusively, invented by men, but I do not separate people in this way exactly, because I always appreciate, respect, love, care about people because of their qualities. I'm not like, oh, you are a man or you are a girl, and I never do that because it is basically ridiculous. There are some things that surely girls do that men don't do mostly, and vice versa. Of course, there's differences between us, of course. I'm heterosexual, I'm not a lesbian, and I still like men things. I'm not sure why is that. In general, I just do. My dad was like, "Hey, look at how cool are these movies with Arnold and Jean-Claude Van Damme and Sylvester Stallone and all those things." Conan the Barbarian, and I'm like, yeah, the guys with a lot of muscle, and he kills the bad guys, and yeah, that's just amazing. And I started drawing males' bodies because I was just very, very fascinated by the male body and how the male body is or could be structured and how it can look when it's actually with a ton of muscle. And that was always starting point of also my own fitness journey, to want to build my body and just make it the best that I can make it with the means that I have, having in mind that it's a female body and I know that it's very, very feminine actually. So making it manly is not the idea, making it just shapely and all those things. So I'm just giving you some idea of how I am and where I'm coming from. I just don't think that exactly giving the label of these games are made for men is exactly correct, just because they are really dealing with things that are neutral to a point, in the sense that men and women can understand such things, war or whatever, fictional worlds. I mean, women also are writers, they also think about those things. So it's not like this is very foreign to women. Like I've said before, actually, because we have discussed some of this before, if you're really a gamer, this is just in your blood. And this is not a matter of being a man or a woman. I just think that it is in your blood. That is it. So stuff like that, like Warhammer, to me, Warhammer is one of the most inspiring universes, because there's so many things in it that I just absolutely love, like the valor, the bravery, the determination, the devotion, just the devotion of all of the Astartes. And it's amazing. And you know, the Emperor is so fascinating, and the Primarchs, and just you know, you can say whatever, whoever. There's so many things. I made a whole topic about why I love Warhammer, so if you want, you can watch that. But it's all qualities that I really, really love. To be determined, to actually want to fight for something, to be true warrior. That thing about the warrior thing, that's something that I always had in myself. And since I saw Xena, especially, and the story how you can become better, even if you're not better, you can become better if you really, really want to improve yourself. And all of those qualities could be also women qualities a lot of the times. Just that women don't have the testosterone and all those things, but they can still have valor, bravery, whatever you can think of, really. But point being that I just don't think about things in that narrow way. I just don't, because I know myself, and there's other girls like myself. It's just that we are not so often. You know, we're not that often. There used to be times when I'm talking like in forums, when I used to actually have time to talk in some forums or something. And when I say that I play games, and guys are like, oh, Jesus Christ, marry me, or something like that. Like, marry me right now, if I could marry you like yesterday or something. It just, it's so funny because they really have not seen by this point that many girls that are gamers.
I'm a female and I want all the audience and all I can get. No, I know that. And there's always going to be people that are overlap, but they're not the norm. Yeah, this is, here we go. Great point. Yep, there you go. Why we can finally feel represented. Well, the funny thing is the only people that were saying this were white. And that's literally me. Yeah, everybody sees this character and I think it's cool.
And you see Wukong here. I mean, when we talk about Wukong, game made for Chinese guys. Game is made for whoever knows Journey to the West. And I don't know much about it. You know, my friend Logan does. He tells me about it. So I do have an idea. I don't know everything about it, and the story, the way it's told in the game, is extremely convoluted, but my god, the game is amazing, you know. The game itself is amazing. So I don't care if there's a label on it for men, because, well, there isn't really, but the game is absolutely awesome. If somebody paid me to like play it all the time, I'll totally just do that at least for a month, and I'll have a blast no matter how difficult it is, because the game is just made a way that you still can overcome whatever it is, and it's kind of wise in this way, actually, but that's another topic. The funny thing is that I do feel represented, although I don't need representation in that kind of understanding that we have today. All I need is what I like, to see what I like, to play what I like. That is it. Playing badass characters, something that is cool, in a third person preferably, that's what I want. So my representation for me is actually playing Space Marine, you know? It would be also a game about something else, about 40k, about Primarchs, or, you know, whatever else I like. And it's 40k, and it's third person, again, preferably. So that's how I feel represented. When I'm actually playing what I like, I don't need to see myself in anything. I don't make a character that looks like myself when I play games. I mostly make male figures, male characters when I play any game, because I like to see male bodies on the screen. It's just how I prefer, and there's a lot of guys that also prefer to look at the female body when they play. So basically play with the female character and just to look at them, because that's just more pleasant for them, and that's totally absolutely natural. It is natural. There's just nothing wrong about that.
In my opinion, this is like a meta level opinion, is that I think that what causes guys to relate to characters is traits and not visuals. That's why, for example, you can have somebody like Goku that everybody likes, somebody like Dion from Final Fantasy 16, somebody like Sephiroth, or somebody like Dante, or somebody like Conan the Barbarian. It doesn't matter. Vegeta, yeah. It's all basically the same thing.
Well, it's also looks, you know, Conan is great, so there's that.
Because it's about the behavior, right? It's about the behavior and like what it represents, rather than like the image of the person themselves. And what I mean is, like, it doesn't have to be like some big, super strong, muscular guy. Like, that definitely helps, but it's not a one-to-one. Then skills, yeah. I don't know why. What? Yeah, master. Yeah, look at Master Chief. Yeah, I'm Master Chief. Exactly. I read somewhere that boys imagine that they become the hero, while the girl imagine the hero becomes her, something like that. Yeah, maybe it's something like that. I don't know. Cultural amateurs meddling in the work of designers and artists are not neaters. Yep, that's what it seems like, man. I don't think this really had anything to do with Sweet Baby or anything like that. I think that honestly the game was just really good, and that's really all there is to it. Good games are good, bad games are bad. It's that simple.
I never heard of such a thing. I want to be the hero. That's for sure. It's the same with how it is with guys. It's just I really don't have that girl feeling in me at all. I just want to be the hero. I just want to protect people, like save people, do whatever I can for people. That's how I am. So it's more like character, you know, character development. Each and every one of us has their own character, so
Maybe there weren't any women in Journey to the West story. Well, here's the reality, okay? Is that in a story about combat in a medieval age, there are going to be no women in that story because women are weaker than men and they don't exist in combat roles. Outside of like 5 or 6 historical examples.
Well, this is the Metatron speaking, and today I would like to talk more about the concept of women warriors, but specifically from the perspective of the ancient sources.
That's it. So if you've got a story about fighting and, you know, people killing each other, and this is from the 1500s, there's not going to be any fucking women in that story. What about sorceresses? Yeah, there's a funny thing about that, right? Basically, yeah, Xena Warrior Princess wrote Brienne of Tarth. Yeah, really interesting. Really interesting thing about that. Yeah, really, really funny. Yeah, in fantasy games, that's the difference. And so that's the way I see it. Female characters game science, if you don't know. Is a Chinese company. What is this? These are the female characters in the game? Yeah, this one's really hot. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, this is good to me. Absolutely. Boudica was a real Viking woman? Really? That's crazy, because the last time that I checked, that was a very faulty and unknown certainty whether she even existed at all. And it's like, it's... And by the way, the only reason why she went on a warpath was because her husband, who was the actual guy that was, the warrior, got killed. So yeah, it's Celtic, Viking. I think it was Celtic. Yeah, I believe it was. But either way, that's not even confirmed historically. Keep that in mind. That is not a historically confirmed fact. It's dubious.
The accounts of the classics have certainly contributed to some extent to the creation of the figure of the Celtic warrior woman. Celtic women, more independent in some respects than Greek and Roman women, had struck the imagination of the Mediterranean people, who, in some cases, described them in great detail. However, if we analyze their writings professionally, we realize that the classics never explicitly speak of a properly warrior woman as far as the Celts are concerned. The first figure that stands out from the chronicles is certainly that of Boudica, the queen of the Iceni, a Celtic people of Britain whom she leads into battle, revolting against the Romans. Now, of course, Boudica's abilities as a tactician, as a strategist, are renowned. They are, in fact, impressive. Boudica is described by Tacitus as leading her troops from the top of a war chariot into battle. But rather than a warrior woman, the picture that emerges is that of a woman leader, which is, of course, different. Therefore, we are talking about a queen, an exponent of the noble class, not a common Celtic woman, and who is also a widow and has become, at the moment, the only point of reference for her people in an exceptional moment of crisis, which has led the Iceni to clash against their previous allies, namely the Romans. Thus, we are, historically speaking, of a very particular figure in a very specific context. That is, of course, the opposite of the norm.
Okay, so basically Metatron was explaining that there are a lot more cases in history. There are some other cases that are not exactly combat. The point is that actually, yeah, there are some women that exist in combat roles. It just is, of course, not as many as men. There's even a series that Xena herself is a host of, well, a lot of years ago by this point, but it's called Warrior Women. It was a Discovery show, and she hosted it. One of the episodes was about Boudica, and actually from this show you can see how many famous women warriors there were in history, because there were quite a few that were really, really renowned. So it's not like they never made a name for themselves and they were forgotten. No, no, no. Boudica freaking defeated Caesar at one point. She did have her first win. She did have her revenge. Metatron also, in this video that I showed you, he confirmed that she is a historical figure and she existed. I don't know why he thinks that she doesn't. She stepped up. This is exactly a lot more than that we can say about her. We can commend her for that she actually had the balls that she didn't have, you know, literally, but she still had the courage to do that and take revenge for her daughters, her people that were killed, and all of that happened. So, just horrible, actually. So she manned up, and she did what she had to do, and she was successful. Initially, there's a lot of, you know, men, leaders that were successful, then they were eventually defeated. That's normal. But she freaking did what she wanted, so here you go. It happens when you're very, very determined and you actually have the leadership skills to do that, whether you're a man or a woman. This is just human qualities that we all may have, no matter of the gender. Sometimes you can also have that. Sometimes men can cook better than women. Like one of the best chefs are men. So there you go.
This is the kind of person that if you make a general statement and somebody feels like it doesn't reflect on them, they're the ones that like speak up about it, right? They're like, well, what about me? Or what about that? Yeah, no, well, what about this? There are always going to be exceptions to rules, but the exceptions are simply not the norm. So that's it.
These games are for men, you know, for men. Only for men. Made for men, or something like that. That's just what I don't agree with. Because they're just made for people in general that can appreciate these types of games. Sometimes those people are girls, but developers don't ever have to cater to anyone that wants to play a game in which the characters are men, but she's like, no, change them to women. That should never be listened to, because you cannot change the game. In this case, if you change Space Marines to women, that will change the whole lore. Just never freaking do that. That's a crime. That's a crime against the lore. So any woman that is a real gamer, she would never want to change someone like the Space Marines, for example. And that is it, guys. If you'd like to support me, links are down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. I also do a lot of coaching, non-Slaneshi content at OnlyFans. I help people there with their personal issues, intimate relationships, fitness, health, nutrition journeys. You can talk to me there personally. I also have physique updates pictures whenever I post these from time to time, when I have something to update you guys about my own fitness journey. Exclusive content and OnlyFans, and just casual things for support on Patreon if you like too, and you can always become a member of the channel so you can have cool emojis when I live stream. Thank you guys, love ya. From me, the 40k Empress, bye bye.
The 40k Empress teaches fitness, health, nutrition, and helps with your intimate relationships at OnlyFans. Yes, I know what you're thinking, but she doesn't use it for Slanesh things. Go there and let her help you with what you truly need. The link is down below in the description dimension. Go on, click the link. I'd know if you didn't. I see you.